2, 1. Oh, you all are awesome. So, I probably shouldn't say this, but I raised 3 boys into adulthood, and I'm not used to saying things and having people listen. It's not a reflection on all of the folks who were raised as boys, but it always gives me a thrill when people listen to what I say. Alrighty. So, this is the 6th year that we've done a summer convening. And each time we come together, we had 3 magical years on Zoom. But it's really to try and figure out how do we get closer to having an ACH that actually listens to partners. And so we spent a pretty significant part of 2022. And can I just ask, how many people is this your first time in a room with us? All right. For those, how many of you were with us through 2022? All right, this is great. So in 2022, we had just finished a 5-year contract with the Washington Healthcare Authority. It was pretty prescriptive of the kind of work that the ACH could support. And we said, let's spend 2022 in cohorts. We wanted to end the year with partners telling us what we should focus on. We were messy. We were not always on top of our game. But one of the things that came out of that was how could we share decision-making power with partners? So at the end of the year, we put out an application to form a review committee, and that review committee came together, and that's really what you're going to hear about for the next hours as we head into lunch. But we took a test. I kind of think of it as a bit of a beta test of could we actually give a group of people a pot of money, some kind of construct around that, and have partners submit ideas to this review committee. The review committee make decisions, and then my job literally is turn that into a contract and get money to those partners. And so Nika's going to be coming up and talking about this. It was a bit of a beta test for us. And have any of you ever do beta tests with the iOS systems or anything? They're buggy. So this review committee came together and they awarded more than $4 million to partners. They are meeting with several of our staff to tell us how could this be better, because you're going to hear, that we're going to try and do this again, and so we're working on what is version 1.5 look like after we finish this beta test. But it was pretty exciting to have partners hearing all the work that's happening across this region with other partners. So with that, Nika, I know you're close at hand. Oh, I'm going to turn this to you and let you carry us into the next spot.
Thank you, Liz. All right. Hi, everybody. Good morning. My name is Nika Osteen, and I am the Director of Innovation here at North Sound ACH. And it's really nice to see so many of you in person. I've met a lot of you over the last 5 years, and it's really great to be in space with folks. So over the last year, I had the honor of working with the review committee to review the projects that came out of that Imaginarium we talked about in January. And it was an incredible group of 11 folks who reviewed so many projects. We had an overwhelming number of people apply to be on the committee and just had a really amazing group of folks come together. And over the last 6 months, they approved 20 projects that span across the region, touch every county of our region, touch a really wide range of communities and ideas. And today, I wish we could share with you every single project because they are all amazing and really brilliant, and innovative and collaborative, and really focused on the communities that they serve and including community voice. But we only have time for 3 of them today, unfortunately. So I'm going to invite our partners from 3 of the projects to share with you briefly, and hopefully that'll help inspire you to think about your own collaborative, innovative ideas for projects. And these projects range from things that are early planning stages to things that have been implemented for several years and are wanting to expand. But I want to start by inviting up Sam from the Madrona Institute. And Sam is leading a project with Lopez Island Family Resource Center called the Indigenous Heritage Project.
Aitsquile McQuaid, Sambar, Sinasnet, Chucks Emerson, CM, Equcha, Aquanas Quilnewell. So, hello everybody, my name is Sam. I come from the Samish tribe, and I'm welcoming you all to my talk. Glad we're all here together. I'm the program director for the Coast Salish Youth Coalition, and we are an intertribal coalition of youth from tribes who have ancestry to the San Juan Islands, and we engage in environmental stewardship, but the same kind of environmental stewardship that our ancestors would have been doing for the past 10,000 years. So we don't just do trail maintenance in national parks for tourists, we steward traditional foodscapes that have sustained our people and medicines since time immemorial, as we've been talking about today. And why did we start this program? There are lots of tribal youth programs, but there are few intertribal youth programs. Each tribe has their own programs for their own youth, but I've seen in my experience that there's not a lot of programs that are really built specifically around getting youth from multiple tribes together with one goal. And so I started this effort with my partner under a nonprofit so that it would not be tied to any one tribe. It puts me in a more neutral space where I can reach out to each tribe as sort of a level partner. And I've also experienced this myself, as that there's a need for culturally relevant employment opportunities for tribal youth. At the start of our program, we started by forming an advisory coalition from multiple tribes. So we have a board of directors, you might say, that's made up of cultural leaders and a variety of the tribes from around this region. And we try to build relationships around shared culture. And that shared culture is food, environmental stewardship, and canoes, which are all central to our programming. One of the things that we do is we practice traditional foods, revitalization, and stewardship. Some of the challenges that we manage in a program like this is avoiding politics between tribes. This is a really youth-focused, culturally focused thing, and we try to build allyship together and keep anything else out of it. And a lot of that means building trust and respecting individuality. A lot of these youth are forming relationships with each other. A lot of these tribes have long relationships with each other. And trust always has to be part of those relationships. And also, in an intertribal program like this, we want to be together, but we also want to respect that each tribe is an individual tribe and has their own individual history. And so just managing that and making sure that everyone feels like they can be themselves and be respected. And some things that we would tell ourselves at the start of the program is to focus more on whole family activities. At the start, it was youth focused, but we only recruited youth. And that doesn't really work in tribal culture. It really has to be intergenerational. And so we've really expanded the program, and now we have events that include 3-year-olds all the way up to 80-year-olds, and it's so much more powerful that way. Also, maybe kind of managing expectations, not setting too big of goals too soon, just finding ways to work towards goals. One of our big ones is to do this environmental stewardship by canoe, so without any cars in the San Juan Islands. And that's a goal that we're slowly getting close to, and we're almost there. I think next year we're gonna be there. We're gonna start restoring traditional foodscapes and landscapes without arriving with a single car. And things that we look for in partners, one is having staff that's supportive. A lot of times we rely on staff and partnering organizations to help fill the gaps, volunteer roles. Also, it's really great to find grants that we can partner on where both organizations are really finding a way to benefit from the partnership with aligning deliverables. And then, of course, inclusion is a big part of our program, and so finding partners that are also really interested in cross-cultural inclusion, not only just intertribal, but also with tribal and non-tribal folks as well as we build this home together. And then I have a video. I'm going to try to make it work.
Sam Nishalachasiam, Squamai Yeshua Senestat, Chesta Emerson. Hello, my name is Aurora Martinez. My traditional name is Squamai Yeshua, and I come from the Samish Indian Nation. A long time ago before the pandemic, Sam Barr and I discussed our goals and our dreams for the future in the San Juan Islands. The hope to grow Indigenous presence and educate those who live in the islands about the Indigenous history. This goal led us to find partners, and we quickly found a great partnership with the Lopez Island Family Resource Center. 30% of the youth who are served by the Family Resource Center have Indigenous heritage but have been disconnected from their culture. North Sound ACH, though, was a funder who provided an immediate space to recraft how Indigenous leadership is valued. They allowed for connection and never questioned why we believe these projects are so important. North Sound ACH has encouraged us at the Family Resource Center and Madrona Institute to dream big and work together for a better future. Thank you to the North Sound ACH for all the work that you do and all the work that I know you will continue to support us in our future as we build towards this better goal. Haishkasian.
And so the next step for our small nonprofit, the Coast Salish Youth Coalition, is to grow into a separate, truly Native-led organization, and we're going to do that by entering into a fiscal sponsorship with the Madrona Institute. But for now, we're still under the Madrona Institute, and you can check out their website. And soon we're going to have our own website and our new social media presence. And we are going to continue to host culturally meaningful events for intertribal youth. And so, hoishka, makwat. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. All of these folks are here, so if you have any questions about their projects or want to connect with them, or if you have great ideas, please find them throughout the day. All right, so next I want to welcome Allison and Michelle from the Whatcom County Perinatal Mental Health Task Force, and they are going to share about their project, the Mobile Mama Clinical Counseling Internship Pilot.
Welcome, and I want to thank the Swinomish people for their hospitality today and letting us be here in this space, and the ACH for letting us share our internship project. I'm Allison Williams. I work for the Whatcom County Health and Community Services Department on programs focusing on young families and their children through pregnancy and early parenthood. And I'm also one of the founding members of the Whatcom Perinatal Mental Health Task Force, which is a community collaborative that supports this project.
And I'm Michelle Anderson. I run and own Mobile Mama. We are a group practice in Bellingham. We work with moms from conception through motherhood. I'm also a co-founder of the Whatcom Perinatal Mental Health Task Force, and I teach and train for Perinatal Support Washington.
You may hear us use a few unfamiliar terms. Perinatal is probably the first one today, and we'll define them as they come up. It's typically defined as the time between pregnancy and the first year postpartum. However, our task force defines it more expansively as up to 3 years postpartum, knowing that perinatal mental health concerns often go unaddressed in that first year and may surface later. So our task force was founded in 2017, and it grew out of the desire for all Whatcom parents to have access to informed quality support for each and every pregnancy and parenting experience, knowing that parenting is overwhelming and isolating even in the best of times. Shaped by the passion of parents with lived experience and by the professionals who care for them in this tender time, we've worked to raise awareness, train professionals, and build a robust support work for new parents. We've had steady support from the Washington Department of Children, Youth, and Families and Perinatal Support Washington. And once we became a fiscally sponsored project of Whatcom Family and Community Network, it gave us many more opportunities to blend and braid funding, such as this opportunity to apply to the North Sound ACH. This project is an example of blending two funding sources from the Mount Baker Foundation and the North Sound ACH to support a single project around internship opportunities. And we had initially reached out to the Whatcom Behavioral Health Fund, funded by the 1/10 of 1% sales tax, but their timeline is not as nimble. And so we're hoping that this pilot project will fund proof of concept for applying for later funding through the Behavioral Health Fund. We use our mission of building a community standard of care to support parental and family well-being to achieve our vision that all families thrive during pregnancy and the transition to parenthood. And as a community, Whatcom County, those of you who are from Whatcom County will know that we've been focusing really intently on early childhood for more than a decade now. We know that children who have what they need to thrive in the early years, so Michael, if you are still here, yes, thriving is really important for us as well, that they have what they need to thrive in the early years are likely to continue to thrive throughout their lifetimes. And by directing our focus to supporting new parents before, during, and after pregnancy, we seize that earliest window of opportunity to help children reach their optimal development. So often abbreviated as PMADs, perinatal mood and anxiety disorders are the #1 complication of pregnancy and postpartum. Untreated PMAD symptoms can lead to poor outcomes for all members of the family. And we know that systemic racism and oppression continue to influence access, quality, and cultural appropriateness of care available to families, impacting their perinatal mental health. So these are our 4 guiding strategies of the task force. They operate as an ecosystem to develop our community standard of care. And on the ground, this looks like training professionals, creating bilingual resources for families and providers, parent peer support, and developing a coordinated referral pathway for families and providers. And just to give you an idea of what this looks like in Whatcom County, we have on average 2,000 births a year. We don't have good county level data about the number of birthing people experiencing perinatal mood disorders, but using national data, 15 to 20% of people, meaning 400 local parents, will likely experience some sort of mood and anxiety disorder. And despite the frequency of that, many may not be screened for this treatable condition, and typically only 15% will seek support for their symptoms. So this means 340 parents could go without the help that they need. And those rates can be much, much higher for parents of color and parents who are lower income. And these mood and anxiety disorders, they're treatable. Without treatment, this leaves so many parents without the care they need and diminishes the well-being of the entire family.
So as Allison said, of the 2,000 births in Whatcom County a year, roughly half of them, about 1,000 babies, are born to mothers on Medicaid. And so based on the national statistics, about 170 of these parents will likely experience a perinatal mood and anxiety disorder, and more will need support for what I call a normal but clunky transition to parenthood. And we know that it's difficult to find therapy in the best of circumstances. It's really hard to find therapists who take Medicaid, and it's super hard to find therapists who take Medicaid and are trained in perinatal mental health. So based on all of this information, our project vision and development focused on training additional therapists for Whatcom County, increasing the capacity for mothers to get the support that they need, especially those who are on Medicaid, seeking funding partners and collaborators, and connecting with the North Sound ACH. So with the help of the task force and our funders, Mobile Mama created a perinatal mental health clinical counseling internship program pilot. It's a mouthful. And so this program is to train, supervise, and support new therapists and increase capacity for mothers. The pilot was designed for 1 to 3 master's level interns per year to work with mothers in Whatcom County in person and via telehealth. And the clients were enrolled in Medicaid, but they received services pro bono. And the interns received a monthly stipend. So how did the first year go? It was totally awesome. We had one intern. She saw about 10 to 12 clients a week, over 270 sessions for the year. She referred over 100 Whatcom County potential clients to resources. Now she's an employee for Mobile Mama, and she's seeing up to 30 clients a week. And as one of her clients said, working with my Mobile Mama intern has changed my life for the better. I found someone caring and willing to hear my concerns and offer real helpful support. So this year, with the blended funding from the Mount Baker Foundation and the North Sound ACH, we're tripling the internship from 1 to 3 interns. This will allow up to 36 mothers a week to be supported, likely over 800 client sessions this year, and we're going to increase the amount of perinatal mental health trained providers in Whatcom County. And again, by supporting mothers, we're supporting our vision that all families thrive during pregnancy and through the transition of motherhood. And so what are some of the, I'm talking really fast at this point because I have like 1 second left, but what are some of the challenges and opportunities? So the academic year and the funding cycle were different, so that's a challenge that we're going to continue to work through. Outreach to universities and counseling programs has been mostly regional, like Bastyr, Seattle University, Antioch, and Western. So we want to increase the outreach so that we increase the applicant pool to better match the demographics of Whatcom County. And one of the wonderful outcomes was recognizing that not all applicants can afford an unpaid internship, so the grants have allowed for a monthly stipend, creating financial equity among the potential intern candidates. Last slide, promise. And so moving forward, our focus will continue to be trying to access therapists in languages other than English and training them, expanding Medicaid billing for supervised interns, and expanding the internship. And we just want to thank you for inviting us to share this totally amazing program, and thank you so much for the ACH for your support.
Thank you, Allison and Michelle. I lost my mask along the way. They have a really cool project and a really great example of shared investment. So if you want to learn more about the process that they took to get there, we worked really closely to thinking what that could look like. So I highly encourage that. Okay, last one, I want to invite up Alex, Chris, and Hanaro from Underground Ministries, and they're going to share about their project, Underground Healing, Prison Reentry, and Generational Strength Among Gang-Affected Communities.
I'm nervous. 10 years of prison and 6 years of solitary confinement has given me, or introduced me to my best friend, which I call anxiety. So I'm really feeling it right now. A lot of times I feel out of place, but today I feel I'm in the right place. Thank you. I like to start with my vulnerabilities, because if I'm able to do that, then I know that I'm speaking from the heart. So we're here representing Underground Ministries. My name's Alex Sanchez. I'm the lead reentry navigator. I'm here with my brother and colleague, Genaro Sanchez, and our friend and executive director, Chris Hoke, and Tony, who is another navigator with us. So what do? We do prison reentry, and we want to share some of our story on how we got here today and how we're developing and have developed our new project with the North Sound ACH. So thank you. Our journey started 18 years ago, where I met Chris Hoke in the Skagit County Jail. I was broken, had a lot of trust issues, and he came in, wanted to get to know me for who I was, and so I said, I'm gonna trust this white guy, I'm gonna do it. So I embarked on my journey. It didn't stop there, in and out of prison, in and out of addiction. You can see the timeline right there, and got released 4 years ago, and now we're doing father trips to Utah, and that was about 14 years ago, right before I caught my prison sentence. I was in active addiction, active gangs right there. He came to visit me, and we decided to do some push-ups.
That's the equity icon. That's when I hit air. Folks like Alex really invited me into kind of the underground of Skagit County that has lots of posters of birds and tulips, but they invited me into their lives. They invited me into a lot of the wounds and the impacts of our agricultural community and a history of racism in this county. And they invited me into this world. And many folks were not just released into Skagit County out of county jail, but county jail is the mouth of mass incarceration. And those courts swallow many of our youth, men and women, and they go into human landfills across the state called prisons. And so it was through letters and traveling and visitation that I got to know a lot more folks that wanted to not just get out, but really plan their escape, which is what we call reentry. Just because the gates open doesn't mean you're really out of the bowels, out of the underground of mass incarceration system, of disenfranchisement, community barriers. So we started the first gang-affected focus class in Washington State Department of Corrections and started planning reentry long ahead of release. Now, Alex, when he came home, was also going to the college, Skagit Valley College, which has an amazing reentry focus, where Hinata was going to school and Alex as well. And thanks to some funding with Commerce, Alex became a reentry navigator, carrying out the same work with more folks to repeat some of your success.
Yeah, so as you see in the picture, just putting together a reentry plan, tackling barriers, both external and internal, so what can get in the way. And internal would be what's going on up here and in here, and external would be getting driver's license, doing tattoo removal, helping the men and women buy purchase cars when they get their employment. And then we have a program within Underground Ministries called Underground Employment. Started with Fidalgo Coffee, and now it's several employers, and that's me on the right when I first got out, trying to figure myself out.
We also found that coming out of the underground, we use the image resurrection a lot, which kind of has its own history, but really means coming back from the dead and unburying our community. And part of that is not just removing the barriers, employment, housing, resources, et cetera, but really enjoying a full life and really re-entering a relationship with the land and being part of the land of the living. So we've been doing a lot of tree planting, folks wanting to connect with their kids, going fly fishing. I was surprised how many folks loved fly fishing. And then coming together for softball, and Hinata is a real community convener. This is where Hinata really entered our work and took it to the next level.
Hello. I think putting things together, building life together, playing softball, bringing just everybody and their families together and building life. A lot of these people never had that chance to live a good life. You know, they went from childhood, teenagers, trauma, gang membership, and prison. So getting out, we help to build life and build a good relationship with their family. And cooking is my passion, so bringing that to them is something, bringing everybody a sense of being at the table at the same time with love. This right here is our baptism. You know, we decided this is part of our healing. Let's get baptized. You know, even though we're a faithful organization, this is just by choice, and our choice was to wash our sins away. And I still go to the river and say, there go my sins, you know, but this is my healing.
Shout out Kevin.
Shout out Kevin for being there with us. Building a relationship, going fishing and connecting even with representatives from our region, Deborah Lakanoff, just building that relationship and noticing and recognizing our native people around this area is amazing.
Yeah, so upon graduating with my degree in human services and working with the team, I was able to do more than just reentry. Let's get together, let's celebrate in a different way. So I created Underground Healing, and those are men and women and their kids coming together for a fellowship and being together in a group. And I was told my whole life, you need to change, and I didn't like that. I always had a good heart. Why would I change that? I needed to heal. So we started this healing journey together.
So we've learned from Alex and a lot of the leadership that's been really leading the way that healing happens in community, but healing also needs to spill into the community. It's not just an internal and individual experience. And so one of the manifestations where the gang realities surface in the community is unfortunately, when there's violence, then it makes the news. But also, I don't know if in Skagit County many people see tagging or gang graffiti. This is just a block from our offices. So we thought, just before we start a big program, how can we at least take care of our immediate neighborhood? And we partnered with Skagit Art Preschool and with the Episcopal Church, and a lot of the guys were like, man, this is cool to have like men home from prison partnering with preschoolers. Normally we're trying to protect the preschoolers rather than seeing that this is part of our community. We can partner together. We created art together and put it up on the fence. And then this kind of community voice where it comes out of the underground, out of that silo. And these men and women are speaking to judges and lawyers here, partnering with Skagit Legal Aid, talking about the reality of legal financial barriers. And so their stories are becoming part of the training of folks in the legal department, which thrills the hell out of me. This is one of our retreats in the mountains, and this is what gave birth to what we want to be doing with the North Sound ACH, which is, it wasn't just men coming home from prison through our reentry program, but Henado started with Tony, a program that many people say coming home from prison out of gangs, hey, I want to reach out to youth, but then they just get buried in all the complexities of just starting their life. Henado with Tony and others have built our Journey Youth Empowerment Group, reaching out to gang-affected youth. And so while Henado's been building that, he said, hey, what if we brought some of those youth to the retreat? And I don't know if you want to share how 3 generations got involved in our retreats.
Yeah, so building this program, taking the reentry program at the college, graduating from the Human Services program, and then being from Underground Ministries, we created a youth empowerment group, helping these kids live life. They have to be kids, you know, not grow up and just in trauma. So going to this retreat, took some of the kids, plus some of these men coming home from prison, they brought their kids. So we're trying to break that generational cycle of trauma. That's what we're trying to do. These men right here have kids. Nobody's ever taught them how to be a man, let alone a father. So how can we as a community bring that, you know, to them and create a relationship like all these partners that we have up here, Northwest Credible Messengers and others around that there was, just remember, there is power in unity. And that's what we're here for. You know? Thank you. Tony, this is Tony. So Tony's part of Underground Ministries, and now he's a mentor for our journey. You know?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, all 3 of our projects, for presenting. And if you want to talk to anyone else who's worked on a project this year, if you got a project, can you raise your hand so folks can just see all the work we've done across this region? Yeah.